Yo, well going everyone, Sanju Che here. So before starting this video, I want to give a major shout out to the guys over by the Cloud Ninja podcast. I was recently invited by them for their 45th podcast episode. Awesome time. I definitely recommend checking it out. I'll definitely leave a link to it or probably a card to it here. Yo, shout out to MeloX, well, XO, Bara B, and Free Game. It was awesome just chatting with you guys. Definitely looking forward to potentially coming back on the podcast again, so that should be fun. But yo, just shout out to those guys. And of course, one more public service announcement. It is the end of the month, more or less. Tomorrow should be the 31st if I got my August math right. And of course, it's that time of the month, the end of month subscriber stream. So of course, come out tomorrow night and just let's chill, talk anime. We're coming down to the fall's anime season, so let's talk about that in terms of our expectations and all that jazz and blues. And of course, Boruto, Black Clover, One Piece, Dragon Ball, all sorts of madness. So let's get into it with today's video. Now, interestingly enough, coming out of the Cloud Ninja podcast and kind of browsing back through the latest chapter of the Boruto Manga Chapter 72, it's come to my attention, and I think most of you guys out there have actually realized this as well, or may have come to this conclusion, but the Boruto Timeskip, it's probably not gonna happen anytime soon. Now, I think I have done a video on this probably way earlier this year, if not late last year, but I wanted to revisit it once more. And of course, going off of Boruto Chapter 72, as well as the pacing that we've had over the last year or so, I've really come to the conclusion that yes, the Boruto Timeskip definitely isn't happening anytime soon. I still believe that it's going to happen, but just not anytime soon. We recently started Volume 19 with this latest chapter, and if I were a betting man, I would say it might be even volume 24 or 25, and each volume is 4 chapters, so it'd still be a ways off before even getting to the time skip. Now, you might be questioning why I have, reconfirmed my feelings on the matter, and it has to do with a lot of the interactions that we've seen between Momoshiki and Boruto, Ko's recent developments in the story, which we'll get to in this video when it comes on to just discussing it, as well as Team 7 seemingly about to get a new mission when it comes on to potentially Amado, Eida, and Daemon. So let's kind of talk about it one thing at a time. Now, in more recent memory, Momoshiki has brought up the whole prophecy of Boruto losing everything, his blue eyes taking everything away from him, and with each chapter that we actually get into, we see Momoshiki kind of hammering it home more and more. Now, I actually have the chapter up here. I'm going to switch over. Oh, probably not that one. Yeah, that one is definitely better. Yes, I have the chapter here just to kind of, emphasize what I'm talking about here based on Momoshiki's words. Now, we have here in this page Momoshiki talking to Boruto saying, I told you that you were going to lose everything and that moment is rapidly approaching. Now, with such emphasis on this whole prophesized moment by Momoshiki, it leads me to strongly believe that this moment is going to happen pre-time skip, and we're going to have to deal with a bit of the fallout of that before getting into the time skip. And maybe in the grand scheme of things, thinking about it now, having this happen before the time skip might be the best option, because I've said time and time again, based on if basing it on nothing else but the whole Naruto franchise on a whole, having something big happen before the time skip, like a major loss, a major tragedy, I think is usually the right move to get your readers or your watchers really invested before going into your time skip. Something to look forward to, a nice solid foundation. And maybe the persons who might not have been as invested in their story will be like, oh shit, things are going down now, I need to get into it. So this might really and truly be the right move on quote-unquote Kishimoto's part when it comes on to moving forward with this whole, narrative of Boruto losing everything that's been built up since, the end of the Boruto Naruto the movie arc, essentially, or at least, the Momoshiki arc for the most part. So more likely, as I said, this is going to be like a narrative point that has to be explored, and the fallout of it has to be like explored even just a bit before going into the time skip. And Momoshiki hammering it home, because this chapter 72 is one thing with Momoshiki reminding us of it, but even during the end of the fight with Code, we had that as well, where Momoshiki was saying like, yo, your death that recently happened has nothing it's going to be nothing in comparison to, you know, what your prophesized moment of despair is going to be. Of course, back in that chapter, looking back at it, no, Momoshiki did say he doesn't know why it's going to happen, essentially. So that kind of leads me back to the whole, you know, the whole thought that it's not going to be Momoshiki necessarily taking over Boruto's body. And I think some of the dialogue that Momoshiki has here with Boruto kind of hammers that home. Because if I scroll down, he says, you shall despair, lose your will to live, enough to want to escape this world. And when that day comes, I shall take over and live Uzumaki Boruto's life for you. So I think this, in combination with what we got at the end of the code fight, definitely cements that, one, A, yeah, we're not getting a time skip for now, and B, yeah, well, two, Momoshiki might not be the one, he's not going to be the necessarily the source of the issue the prophesized moment. So there is definitely that. Now, interestingly enough, talking about the Boruto story going forward even more, our antagonist, quote unquote, Code himself has seemingly split the 10 tails into more bite-sized pieces, similar to what was done during the Fourth Great Ninja War, where the 10 tails in the war split itself, you know, after the previous Kages came to the field and erected the barrier and everything. So it's something similar to that. Now, I'm interested in seeing how Code is actually going to go forward with this, because as we see here in the chapter, Code is very nonchalant, as noted by Bug. Now, I'm thinking that, okay, what would be the next best move, or the best move for Code overall going forward, having this army of 10 tails, you know, mini 10 tails, you know, a mini 10 tails army essentially. So what's the next best move? What can the antagonist that hasn't had the most favorable run when it comes on to his time in the manga as the main quote-unquote antagonist so far, what's he going to do? I do like his confidence, and I think, well, the easy guess is that he's going to have to use this 10 tails army in a more strategic way. And I like the potential that it has, because with the we can probably estimate how strong these 10 tails, you know, this 10 tails army are, like each individual, you know, 10 tails replicant. But I think the potential for this army has the, but I know persons will probably dive to the whole Fifth Great Ninja War. That's an easy thing to think about, and it kind of does line up with what I'm thinking in terms of having the army be a means of drawing in the involvement of the other great nations, probably get the involvement of characters like Gar and Darui and all the other Kages, just to make the story a bit more dynamic. Because thinking about it, we have to think like this, right? Code's whole goal right now, his main goal, is to get Boruto fed to the God Tree, right? And the way I see it, Code might have to create this elaborate situation where he creates either distress or panic in certain sections, and probably take a divide and conquer approach, probably allowing Boruto to go out there and potentially solve this mystery. Just get Boruto in a situation where he's not under so much surveillance. We can probably grab him from here or there if you get what I mean. You know, a divide and conquer kind of approach when it comes on to capturing Boruto. Create some distractions with this 10 tails army, kind of create an elaborate ruse to, you know, pull Boruto out of his safe space. So I think that's the route Code might have to go when it comes down to achieving his goal, because as I said, it's really capturing Boruto, feeding him to the 10 tails, and then getting the God Tree. There's just no other way around it. So more than likely, he'll have to go about a divide and conquer distraction route, bring Boruto out of surveillance, using these 10 tails to create, you know, like those anime missions or arcs where the main characters go to a village and like, you know, suddenly this event happened and we're not really sure, you know, give the characters a kind of like a mystery situation to solve, not making it obvious that it's code at the source of it, but just to get the characters out of, you know, their safe haven to the degree where he can actually swoop in and just you see me. So that's what I'm thinking going forward, in, you know, going forward for code. And naturally, taking all of these things in mind, they kind of emphasize the point that, yeah, maybe the time skip just won't happen for now because there's just too much to actually go over. And Code and his potential plan that I'm thinking about is one thing, but I mean, the involvement of Team 7 is going to be another factor to take into consideration, because I mean, Sarada and Mitsuki haven't had the... It's been a while since they've had any solid involvements in the manga. You know, we've gotten dialogue from them over the last, like, you know, more recently, give or take, and expressing their frustrations, which I definitely like as a start. But to be honest, I think their involvement and potential despair in what's going to come is going to have to be fleshed out as well. So yeah, the time skip more than likely isn't going to happen for now. Yeah, pretty much. But anyway, let me know your thoughts on the Boruto time skip, and if all that I've said for this video actually makes sense. Do you think, you know, all these plot points are definitely something that are going to have to be fleshed out to a degree before getting to the time skip? I believe so. So I want to hear from you guys, start a discussion as per usual. You know how it goes on this channel, discussion starters for the most part. But all in all, I'm looking forward to Boruto Chapter 73. It should be interesting. Team 7 just might be on their way to, you know, take a mission to meet Eida and Daemon and escort Amado and their entire group to Konoha. So there's that. So yeah. But anyway, let me know what you guys think. Hope you guys are having an awesome day. Of course, reminder again, tomorrow's the end of month subscriber stream, so join me. I'll definitely create the stream beforehand so you can get an idea of the time. But usually, you know, we go for at least 2 hours on that stream, so if we even get home late, we should be running, give or take. So yeah. But anyway, Sanjay, see you guys in the next video.